Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. I hope everyone is doing well today. It's a beautiful day outside. Thank you for joining me for this next presentation of mine. Today, I just want to touch base with everyone, and I'd love to make sure that you guys all subscribe to this page. Just hit the like button and then hit the bell, and you'll get all the notifications you need for all of our live presentations that are coming up through this time. Lots of information to learn from some really great professionals here at New Image College. So do it and you won't be disappointed. Today we are going to talk about all things skin. As a makeup artist, skin is such an important part for us to understand in order to do a really beautiful makeup application. So a beautiful face starts with beautiful skin, meaning a flawless application begins with thoughtful skin preparation. If a makeup artist rushes through all of these crucial steps that are so important, they will no doubt get frustrated, and I'm sure you've been there before when something just isn't turning out the way you anticipated, or your client is really unhappy with the way something is looking. So it's really important for us to really understand what is happening so that we can prevent things like this and understand how to learn some quick fixes so that these things don't happen to us again, because it's stressful, and I know all of you have been there. A lot of this has to do with skin and hydration. Think about the skin. It can look great to our eye, but maybe there is a layer of dry skin, dead skin cells on the surface, which is really very common, giving a little bit of a rough texture. And when there's this rough texture and we go in thinking everything is great, we will be disappointed. Just think about a beautiful foundation that goes on the skin and it's looking like it's going on really nice, and then you maybe turn around to go grab something else and you come back and there it starts to kind of shift and move or just not look as flawless and even as it did. It's because the skin needs exfoliation, or some sort of problem has arisen that you have already kind of attended to, and this will prevent that from happening in the future. So first of all, as makeup artists, we should never really claim to be a dermatologist. It's not our job. It's not what we've been trained to do. We're makeup artists. We're hairstylists. We don't have the knowledge to diagnose people with a skin disorder. We do have to understand that our job is to create a beautiful makeup. So a beautiful makeup, we need beautiful skin underneath. So we have to understand how to identify and come up with some really quick fixes that is going to help us do our job better. As a makeup artist, it's important to understand some terminology, and we're going to talk about that, and just some of those products out there that we should really have in our kit so that you can do and ensure that you have a good quality application to make your clients happy. So just a little bit knowledge of how this video is going to go. I'm going to talk first about a few terms that I think you should really understand. And then we'll talk about a proper skincare prep routine. So when your client sits down, how I would go about going through the steps in order to have a good skin prep so that my application afterwards is flawless and makes the photographer happy, the actor happy, whoever is involved happy. After that, we'll just talk about a quick do-it-yourself exfoliation that I wanted to share with you about. We're all at home right now. We have time to do a little quick recipe, super easy, so we'll go through that. I did it, I loved it, it was great, so I'll talk about that with you after that. Another do-it-yourself lip application we'll just touch base on because it's great to have in your kit and it's super easy to have and it is long-lasting. You just have it in there. It will always come up and you'll always be thankful you have it. Then we're going to go and we'll actually do some hair. We talked about, you guys are all ready for some braids. I want to do a quick demo on the Dutch braid and the French braid, just looking at the two different types of braids. And just to give you guys a recap on how to do each one. And then I'm going to do a braided updo. So I'll do sort of two demos. And then lastly, we will just touch base on dewy skin application, how to receive that. And then we'll talk about your assignment for the week. Okay, so let's just begin with, I want to go over 3 terms that I really think that we really need to understand as makeup artists. The first term and ingredient that we should all be aware of is hyaluronic acid. Every time a makeup artist hears the word acid, I know, or anybody for that matter, they hear acid and they think scary thoughts. Of course they do. It's acid. Acid is known to burn the skin. Acid is known to strip the skin of oils and all of these things that we don't necessarily want to do to any client, obviously. However, hyaluronic acid is a really wonderful product that you should have in your kit. It's very gentle, it's an extreme hydrator, and it delivers where you need it most. So it's a product that you're going to get great value from, and it is out on the market in many things. I would have this in a moisturizer in my kit, something, or a serum, just because it's an instant hydrator. So meaning it's going to, a scientific fact that I learned was that 1 gram of hyaluronic acid actually can hold 6 liters of water. So think about that. If you're putting this on your face as a serum, you're putting it on and then you're spritzing a bit of water on the face, maybe it's an Evian spray, it's going to take that and hold it, and it's going to allow the skin to give it more of a youthful sort of glow and feel and look. It'll be more plump, it'll be more smooth, it'll be all the things that you want in the skin. It's the key basically to smooth, flawless, and hydrated skin. So you would need that. You need that in your kit. It's basically our own skin. It does produce a hyaluronic acid, and it naturally is there to maintain moisture. But as we age and the little AH polymers, they kind of shrink in size, so therefore they can't do their job as well. So it loses moisture. So naturally, as we age, we lose moisture because the things we have in our youth just fade and get destroyed from free radicals, pollutants, all of these things out in the environment, and we need to now start aiding in that application. So make sure that you have a serum with hyaluronic acid in it. I think that would very much help you in your flawless application. The next important one that I think everybody should understand, and a lot of you might already know, the value of AHAs. Another acid, it's called alpha hydroxy acids. These acids are also very gentle and should not be thought to be as scary. They actually get rid of the layer of dry and dead skin cells that aren't coming off naturally. When we're youthful, our skin does a lot of turnover very quickly. As we age or as there's environmental damages, sometimes the turnover is not as fast. So you can have a client that sits in your chair, and like I was saying earlier, you can go in thinking everything is awesome, but then as soon as you start applying, things are going quite weird quite quickly. A good exfoliation is really important, and there's ways of doing that naturally, which I'll show you later. Sometimes we don't have the time for that, so you can best be ready for a situation like this if you have a toner with an AHA, and there's tons of them out there. And then you can do an exfoliation. You can take a baby wipe and gently just kind of exfoliate around, and it will you'll notice even this, just the massaging and movement, if you're just slowly kind of going through and over the skin, you'll notice a difference side to side, and even try it on yourself. A lot of us carry this around on our skin. You'll even notice the difference on if you're feeling one side and you change it and feel the other side, you'll notice. So it's not something that you want to be doing, twice a day, even every day can be harmful depending on your skin. But I love to do it before every application. It does make the skin really lovely. So that is something, these AHAs are naturally occurring in the skin, and they're naturally found in things like dairy, and dairy is the lactic acids, sugar has the glycolic acids, and the citrus has the citric acids. So because we need these acids, will be helpful to us to really reap the rewards of having a nice skin to work on. So yes, and using this, the AHAs overall will help diminish the fine lines and wrinkles that you also have on a client, just because a lot of those wrinkles are formed because of the dead skin cells that are on the surface of the skin. They're just sitting there, so all the movements will take on that form, and they will hold that wrinkle. So the AHAs will really aid in diminishing just the fine lines around the eyes and the fine lines around the lips. So definitely something to have in your kit. The next thing is something that you should know about, but be very careful with, and those are retinoids, which is also known as vitamin A. It's a derivative of vitamin A, but it stimulates collagen. And this is something that maybe it's not something that you will have in your kit per se, but it's something you might want to recommend that your clients start using, because it does break down from UV light and as well as stress. So under all of the stress right now that we're under, people are really needing that vitamin A and the retinoids to keep their skin looking good. Even computer screens and fluorescent lighting can also cause vitamin A and retinoids or collagen for that matter, to be eliminated. So be aware of that. Vitamin A is available in many forms, but all of the forms can be converted into retinoic acid in the body. So whichever form you do use, the effect will be similar. So it's something I really recommend that you pass on to anybody that you notice is suffering in that dull skin, and they need their collagen, they need just more of a supple kind of look. That is something that will help them and something that you should pass on. Ultimately, if a client does come to you with a skin problem and you're not really sure, I have a dermatologist that I consult, and I have many dermatologist friends that I also consult. Find somebody that you can consult in, refer to, and then that way you have a really good team. And last week we talked about the value of having a good team of makeup artists. It's good to have a nice, and hairstylists, it's also good to have a nice team of skin experts. That way you can refer, they can refer to you. The world of beauty goes so many ways, so it's really good to get a good team of people around you that can help you. Again, I just want to touch base on that it is really important to not have products that you're unaware of in your kit because you hear things are good. Make sure that you really explore and make sure that those products work for you and that they're not going to cause any harm. You don't ever want to do something because you hear it might be good and just go in it on a whim and try it. It will cause problems. Your reputation will not be good. As I say many times, if you are recommended by somebody, it's because they have a good experience, and you are unrecommended very quickly to many people if you do a bad or if they have a bad experience. So those are the three that I kind of wanted to touch on that are really important off the go here. And let's get into our skin prep routine. So when I have a model come and sit in my chair, or an actor, or just a regular person that is maybe getting headshots done for their realtor business, or maybe an actor that needs headshots, actor in the trailer, models, test shots for them, maybe it's an editorial shoot. A model or a client will sit in your chair, and what you have to do is get their skin started and get it ready so that your application is nice and they love it, and then when they love it, they feel good. When they feel good, everybody's happy that is around you and working with you. So the first step is cleansing. So cleansing is something that a lot of people might arrive in your chair and say, it's okay, I've already cleansed today. Well, it's something that you would want to repeat. It's because if somebody says they've cleaned their face and moisturized, they've also stepped out of their house. Maybe they've traveled for a little walk to get to the bus, and then they've been on the bus, and then they've been on the SkyTrain, and then they did another walk on the other side. Maybe they just went to their car and then drove. Maybe reevaluate that situation a bit differently, but really kind of question their mode of travel. A lot of people think they're moisturized when they moisturize the night before, and they don't moisturize, so they're sleeping on a pillow that has dirt on the pillow, so that they're coming with all of that on their skin. A lot of people think that if you ask if you've cleansed, it means that you're asking if they have makeup on. So really just make sure that you are clear on cleansing. And I always cleanse. So you can use a couple of different things. Just another quick thing I want to touch on is the long wear formulas in today's world. A lot of people can't remove them properly, or aren't removing them properly because they don't have the patience. So, and the long wear formulas are hard to remove. Think about waterproof mascara. That takes a little extra time than regular mascara. So make sure, a lot of people maybe are just doing their normal cleanse, but they're maybe getting off 50% or maybe 75%, and they will have residue. A lot of ladies out there think they have under eye dark circles, but a lot of it's mascara that's just caked on, and they keep putting more on and not removing it properly. So over time, they're just getting dark eyes, and it's just actually mascara. So our job is to get all of that off. Coconut oil is a fabulous product that is gentle, and it actually delivers. So first of all, what I would do is look at a client and ask if, tell them I'm going to cleanse. I don't even really ask, but I do a little bit of that. And then I will cleanse. I can use a baby wipe or a cleansing wipe. Burt's Bees has some really nice ones that are very gentle on the skin. They have an exfoliating one that I've used before, and it is quite rough, so I don't know if I'd recommend that. I thought it was going to be a great one, and I took it out to try it, which you should always do. Try everything on yourself first, because you'll learn a lot on how it feels on you. Sometimes you think, oh, this will feel lovely, but it might not. As you're doing things too on your client, always check in and make sure, is this okay? Do you feel all right? Let me know. And again, always asking about allergies before you start any service, of course. So coconut oil is used a lot in the industry. It's used a lot in film to remove even like the prosthetics that have the glue. It's just a nice oil that is soothing, nourishing, and very effective. I always will start with a cleansing pad and then, or a cleansing wipe, and kind of go through sort of from top to bottom and sort of see what's happening. Because as you kind of go through and you start removing, you kind of look and you're like, oh, they did a good job of cleansing, or oh, they didn't, because there's foundation still on this. So just make sure. A lot of people will say they don't have makeup and they actually put concealer on because people don't want to leave their house with that. That should come off as well. So you want to take everything off, And then at the end, I'll always put like a little bit of coconut oil on a cotton round, and then I'll just kind of go over the eyes and just make sure that they're clean, and guaranteed you will have mascara on your cotton pad almost 100% of the time. So that will help you start, and then all of a sudden you'll have a really nice clean face. Coconut oil is a little bit moisturizing as well, so that helps in your next application, which will be going into using your toner. So a toner, as we kind of identified prior, is that you want a toner that has an AHA in it. Toners do balance the skin's pH after kind of cleansing, so it's a really nice step to have. It's refreshing. People use witch hazel, which is lovely. I love it. People use rose water, and those are good things to have for different skin types. And a toner that has an AHA in it is just going to help you just get that rough skin out of the way. So you'll put a little bit on a cotton round, and then gently just moving it in circular motions down and underneath and around, and then nude pad other side of the face, and then you can do one more and just kind of go all over and do one overall again. Make sure you get in behind the jaw area as well. That area sometimes is forgotten. It also gets rid of any oils and cleansing materials that you didn't quite get rid of. So that'll just kind of sweep over the skin and really clean it up and make it super ready for your serums. So then you're gonna follow with your serums. Recommended as early, having a hyaluronic acid in your serum is really gonna help. That's when you're gonna put that on, and it's just gonna soak in, and it's going to give you that smoothness. You can use a serum also with a vitamin C if you find that maybe the skin doesn't need the hyaluronic acid. That's kind of more on youth, so maybe if you have somebody that's a little bit more young that has really nice skin, vitamin C serum will brighten their complexion, and using it over time really helps as well, just to keep the skin tone even as well. Citric acid is lovely to have in your skincare regime. So again, vitamin C for anything that's sort of a dull skin, brighten it up, and then your hyaluronic acid for dehydrated skin that just is a little bit uneven in texture. After that is your hydration time. So at this time when you're in your serum stage, you could add a little bit more, like an Evian spray of water, just to get that hydration up again, and then you can start putting in your moisturizer. Your moisturizer should be massaged in. You don't want to just slap it on with a brush and then just let it sink in, because it probably won't sink in fast enough. And then if you follow up with your sunscreen, and then follow up with the primer, and then your foundation, it's just all gonna cake together. You need to allow things to soak in. So I would take a brush and really spend time with that moisturizer, really working it in. Just really kind of just working it in with your brush, moving it around and back and forth, and that's gonna also stimulate the skin as well. So anything that's stimulating and giving massage and paid attention to, it will be nice. You don't go in rough, you go in soft and gentle, and there's nothing that can go wrong. Facials always have massage. That's why your skin always looks so good after a facial, is it's been massaged and just worked in, and then it will have that lovely, it will just be, everything will be sort of stimulated, and it will create a really, 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 again, adding on to a really nice base. So we do that, we moisturize, we allow the product to penetrate, and then we see when it's penetrating. Now there's times like this too when you're sitting there and you have time. Don't think, oh, I'll just get the next thing out. You can go in and start thinking about the color match that you're gonna do, or maybe you wanna look at your primers and see what you wanna do with that. Or you can start taking down their hair, brushing their hair. Maybe you could just do their first layer of curls. Go back in, add the next thing. So you can kind of separate each with a bit of time. Don't rush through the skincare, because otherwise nothing will be absorbed, and when nothing's absorbed, you'll just create a mess, and then you'll have to take it all off and start again, which puts you even further behind. So use those little times in between to do something that's going to help your procedure later. Maybe talk about lip color. Maybe say, oh, what kind of lips do you want to wear? Like, are you interested in a full, like, beautiful, bright colored lip? Do you want something more soft and subtle? Do you want a stain? That way you can kind of look in your kit, start pulling things out. While that will save you time later when it gets to lips, you're already ready with your lip. So use that time in between when you're allowing yourself to penetrate or products to penetrate, that you will have these times to fill with proper things that will help you later. So after you put the moisturizer in, it's skincare time. Now, sunscreen time. Sunscreen, we all do it now. We have to do it. It's something that has just become a standard for everybody to have on. I think the only time I don't use it is when I'm doing shoots inside with photography. Sometimes the zinc in the formulas can cause a bit of a different sort of look on the skin, so I really try to avoid that in photo shoot. However, if we're outside, it's something that you have to do. You just bring it down in the neck and the chest, and you probably, if depending on what you're shooting, you might need it on the arms and body as well. So that is your department. So I would make sure that you do that. You don't want anybody to walk away with burnt skin after you've been their makeup artist. Actors always need it because a lot of times they're inside, outside, doesn't matter if it's cloudy out, you always want to have the sunscreen on. I would talk to your client individually, each about what they want to do. I usually start with a 30 is kind of what I go to now. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it was more of a 15. I know from my dermatologist friends that the parts from 15 to 30, from 30 to 50, the amount of difference in their the way they work is not that significant, but the chemical application that you're putting on someone is quite significant. So you can get cancer from the sunscreen you're applying just as easily as you can get cancer from the sun, just from the sun alone. So really be careful about putting on 100 on yourself every day. It might not be good. Hats, sunglasses, all of those things are good for us. But again, 30 is usually standard right now. If somebody's quite fair, maybe hop up to 45. But do some research on that and just make sure you're comfortable and knowledgeable about what you know and what you're applying. I use an Aveeno an Avenue product that is really nice. It goes on very dry, which is nice for sunscreens because you don't want anything that has an oily residue. That won't look good, obviously, in photos. So really, again, working that in as well with the moisturizer, really paying attention to the T-zone, the cheekbones, the chin. You just want to make sure that you're really working that in. Some sunscreens appear quite white straight away because the zinc is just very apparent. Give it time, it will soften and the skin will come back out and look natural again. After that, it's your choice to use a primer if you like, or you can go right into foundations. I sometimes have been skipping the primers lately. I find that because the skincare that I'm doing is so good, I feel like when I put a primer on, it kind of undoes everything I do. So it creates a barrier, which some people really like, but sometimes I don't want that barrier application. So I go right in with a foundation that is, what I'm looking for. If it's a sheer foundation, if they've got lovely skin, I don't need to cover it. I don't want to cover it. I want that natural skin. We talked about this when I was doing bridal last week, when the 2020 bride is wanting that natural skin to come through. I think a lot of people want that. I think people are looking after their skin right now. They don't want a mask on their face. So, maybe primers are not really necessary all the time anymore. So then you just go from there. You can do your primer if you're just, you love it, go for it. But I would go right into makeup. And then I do always finish makeup off after with a setting spray. The Urban Decay setting sprays are amazing, and then that will help hold it in. So just a little quick recap. If Amir, you want to throw up that little photo. And it will just kind of give you an idea again on the way it's just an overall look. So again, we start with the first step of cleansing. Again, cleansing, very important step, gets rid of all of the pollution, and we want that for our clients. We go in and follow up with a toner. So one with an AHA is recommended because it'll exfoliate any dead skin cells and give us a really nice smooth base. We follow up with a serum. A good serum for dehydrated skin will contain a hyaluronic acid. And then a vitamin C serum will look great for anyone that has dull skin. Vitamin C is also, just to go over, is a really good brightening agent. Again, the next step is hydrating or moisturizing. It should be massaged into the skin so the skin absorbs it and it stimulates the skin and allows the product to penetrate. Lip care too, I forgot to mention this, in with moisturizer. You want to add in a lip care element at this time. Anything with shea butter is good. It's conditioning, softening, and moisturizing. So add that now, because if there's any damage, cracked lips or just lips that are a little bit dry, if you have this at this time, it'll allow penetration and absorption and nourishment, so that when it's time to follow up with a lip application, the lips will be ready to absorb. Then step in with your sunscreen. So just make sure that you really protect your client's skin, and start with an SPF of 30. You can go up to 45 if you need. And then you can go with your primer if that's what you choose, and then you follow up with makeup. And that is everything for skin prep. So if you have any questions about maybe something that I've missed over, that you've heard that is good, that's a perfect topic to bring up at our Zoom tomorrow. Again, that will be at 10 in the morning tomorrow, so do come in with questions. It makes the Zoom go just a lot better for everyone, and once questions start happening, it really creates a good rapport. So pop a question in when I ask about any questions about the skincare prep. Very important step. Okay, so now I just sort of wanted to touch base on the little exfoliation do-it-yourself. So I'll get Amir to pop up a picture of that. So this is a really good exfoliation. So it's something that you can have in your kit, but you might not have the time to do it. So it's something that you might want to do for yourself every now and then, but also to give, maybe you have a test coming up in class and you want to have, you want your model to have, your friend to have really good skin. You could give her this. And she could do that. Maybe you have a bride that that you can kind of give it at their consultation and just say, I'd love you to just follow up with this in the morning, or even come a bit earlier for your bridal application day and do it quickly before an application. It's gentle. It's not going to do anything to the skin. In fact, it's going to only just make the skin better. So when you exfoliate, again, you just open up the clogged pores, you even out the skin tone, and this will help penetration of other products as well. So in this, it's you just need 1 teaspoon of coffee grounds, so just some coffee grounds that are really quite fine, 1 teaspoon of lemon juice, that's your citric acid that's going to help brighten your skin. You need a teaspoon of sugar, which is your other glycolic acid that's going to help as well with some exfoliation. And then you need your a teaspoon of honey. So it's really easy. 1 teaspoon, 1 teaspoon, 1 teaspoon, 1 teaspoon. You can add a little bit of an essential oil if you wish. Rose, I added 2 drops of rose, which is really nice. Honey is really great because it really helps contain and hold moisture in the skin. So just mix this all together, rub it all over your face, and you can even go down into your décolletage area and put that down there as well. Leave it on 12 to 15 minutes, and then just take a nice warm hot towel, not hot, but maybe warm to hot, and then just gently remove it, and you will your skin is just immediately feels soft and rejuvenated at the end. So that's just something that we can all do at home just to help pass time and keep our skin in check. We're probably not going out and making ourselves up as much as we once did before all of this started. So this will just help give your skin some love that you want. Okay, so I think we will take a break and move into doing some hair. So what I wanted to do, one of the trends for bridal hair for this year and just for everybody that loves kind of beachy hair as well, is braids. So I thought we would do a little recap of the French braid. I thought we'd do the Dutch braid first, just to kind of review that, as well as the inverse French braid, just so you remember how each one goes. And then we'll go in and do our braided crown updo that I just want everybody to get practice with, because it's a really beautiful look and it can be incorporated into so many different hairstyles, whether you want to wear your hair down, whether you want to do half French braids and have little buns on the top. There's so many little fun things you can do just with braids. So let's get started on that. So I do have my curling iron plugged in, because I always will go back to that if I need things to, I want curled ends for stuff. Do have your elastics ready, because we all know that it sucks when you have a beautiful braid and no elastic to secure it. And I'm going to remove this lovely, this is Molly here, put her over here. And then I have this lovely lady with me. So I've already done her hair, like just actually put a little bit of oil in there to just kind of soften and give it some shine. I did use the Kevin Murphy spray. It's a really nice shimmer shine. I love it. So I did already do that. I've divided it into 2 sections as well, just so that I was ready to go when doing these braids. Quite often when you do a braid, you do kind of want the hair to be a little bit damp. So I'm just going to take some water and just spritz it. And then I will brush it through here. So I'm going to do a Dutch braid first. And then I'm going to do a French braid on the other side, and then we can talk about the two. So when you're doing your braids, I'm just going to put a little bit of water on this side too. You want to make sure that the hair is really smooth and there's no tangles, because you're always running through the hair. So I'm just going to take this and just get it out of the way. Just do a little knot. And just clip it in place so it's out of sight, out of mind. Now I'm going to take this side here. I'm going to move her a bit so that you can, I'll try to sort of work there. So you want to take your comb, your tail comb, and just sort of run through the hair. That way you know that all the tangles are out. So the tail comb can go through it. You can add texture a little bit later as well, because you can kind of pull out the braid, and we'll talk about that. Okay, so you're just going to start, I'm going to take a little triangle. And you're just going to really brush through it. Just going to twist her a little bit here. And I'll try to sort of move it around. So when you start a braid, you're going to take it and divide it into 3. And we all know that. When you do a Dutch braid, you're basically taking everything and always going under. So you're going to go under, Then you're going to go under again. And then you're going to go under. The second time you kind of go under, you're going to take a bit more hair and join it. Again, brushing through, and then you'll go to the other side. Kind of holding it, you go under again, and then I just take that, and then I'm just going to gather some more hair and join that under bit. Always making sure that everything is nice and combed. Then you're going to take it again, and you're going to go under. Just think every time you add, you're doing it to the under part. Under. This piece, the outer piece, is going into the middle, under. Just add a bit here with my hands. Don't always need to use your comb. Again, it's going under, into the middle. Next bit on the outside is going under again. And then now, I will add another piece in. Making sure it's nice and tight. Under. Then again, under again. And then just gathering more from the side and going under again. Return. And that section you just added is going under again. Then I'm going to flip it around and add more in. And going under. I'm going to maybe turn her around. How do you think, Amir, if I'm going to go down the back here? Shall we flip her? Okay. Just want everybody to kind of see a little bit more as much as they can. I just hope I don't lose my train of thought here. Okay, I'm going to go under, and I'm going to remember that I have to add from that side. So I'm going to flip here. How is that? Yeah, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to add more here. Now when you kind of get to this step, you want to make sure you get your model to lean forward a bit, because you want to stay very close to the scalp. So I'm going to add a bit to my under piece here. And then again, flipping under here. Adding a bit more in here. All the way down. Getting a little bit more here in. Making sure she's looking down, under. Under. Under again. Just a little bit of that guy there. Under again. Under again, and just keeping your hands really close now to the neck so that there's no gaping bits. Add that last little bit, and then you can just carry on doing the rest of your braid. So you can see the braid sits on top of the head. It's not inside. So we're just going to finish this off and then probably right about there, I'll put an elastic in. I'm not going to go right down to the base because I will be pulling it out later, and there's no need to do that. So we'll secure it with an elastic. And that is a Dutch braid. I always kind of go back and just sort of go and just kind of fluff up the braid a bit, just to give it a little more. You can always even take bits out a bit at the top, just to give it a little more texture. And that always helps as well, just to give it a bit more. You can leave it as is, but and then you can just sort of pull it out along here as well, just to give it that fuller look. So these braids are quite popular in styling because you can do so much with it. So again, it's sitting on top. And then you can see that it's not inside, which we will do next. Okay. So I'm going to start on this side, and we'll do a just a French braid that is inside, an inverse braid. So again, we'll do another corner, like a triangle, triangle section. And again, her hair is nice and smooth. If you want to add a little more water, you can. That always just helps, keeping the hair all together and workable. All right, again, so we go through. Now, with the way we take our 3 sections, but here we took the sections and we went under. Here, we go over. So you go over into the middle. So we'll take this, go over into the middle, over into the middle, find your section. So just keep lost her there. Over. Then when you add into your over sections. So you're going over, keeping that nice and clean. Over into the middle, add a little bit more. Keeping it nice and clean. Into the middle again. Just making sure everything is nice and smooth. Into the middle again. Sure everything is smooth when you pick things up, and into the middle, joining again, making sure it's nice and smooth. Again, into the middle, take a little more. As you can kind of start to see, hopefully, is that you can see the difference side to side where the braid is actually going underneath and inside. And in a minute, I will see if I can turn around here so you guys can get a better angle. This is a really popular look. I do it a lot on set for little girls. It's just a nice way to do their hair, gets it off their face. It also is a pretty low maintenance, just depending on the weather. If the weather is a little bit humid out, you might have to do it twice, maybe once after the lunch breaks. just because of the humidity, and it makes it a little bit fuzzy. And if you're shooting a scene that's before that scene, you need to have it looking good again. So it's also really popular in weddings for flower girls. Anything braids with the flower girls is very much desirable. I did a Hallmark movie last February, and it was like a little girl's birthday party, so there was all these little girls, and we just braided everybody up, and they looked really cute. Again, low maintenance for us on set when it's super busy. And then we just sort of keep going here. So you just have to keep telling yourself when you're braiding, just kind of talk to yourself what you're doing. You're going over, just make sure you're just always remembering what you're doing, checking in. Always make sure you kind of grab onto the hair and give it a bit of a pull, just to make sure that it's working. Okay, I'll see if I can kind of turn her a bit here. You can sort of see what's happening. Again, keeping it tight and just in here. Just adding, making sure everything's nice and combed through. Again, keeping your fingers very close to the nape of the neck so that there's no billowing at the back. Keeping it nice and tight. So this braid, I think, is less used more on adults, but more popular with children, just because it's, I think, older adults would rather have a little bit of the mess, and there's more kind of things that we can do with this. This is quite inside. We will loosen it up and just make sure that everything is kind of falling the way we want. We can always pull out the bottom of the braid as well, if that's just to give it a bit more. You could pull it up here if you wanted, just to give it again a bit more. Don't be afraid to go back in and just sort of kind of pull things apart a bit. Sometimes you get parts and skin showing that isn't the most flattering. That's also when you can pull out a hair spray gel or colored spray and just kind of fit it in, or a hair powder and color it in, and that helps with any unwanted parts. That is it's nothing about us and our ability, it's just the hair we're working with. So you can just sort of pull and play around and make sure that things are going the way you want. So you can sort of see this is inside. So the braid is under, and the braid is on top. So some nice other fun styles that you can do. You can take the hair here and just pull this apart. If you did two braids that were the same, of course, and you could twist into a bun and then really pull out all of the hair and make it into a fun sort of updo that is quite quick, but just with a few pins and you can make sort of a lovely little bun. You can also even end the braids here and secure them, and then curl all of this hair and sort of fluff it out, and that looks really nice as well. So maybe if we have time at the end, we can add a bit of that to it, but they're really a nice way to start. I see a lot of people too just braiding right now on just up to this side, maybe this front section, securing it with an elastic here, and then creating really nice beachy waves and just having that braid here. Even the center braids, and then securing it, and then having just your full hair out as well. So braids just add like a simple touch, but they're really, that simple touch makes it look like something that they can't do themselves. And it just gives it a little bit more of a fun style to it. So those are our braids. So I think I'll get into doing the updo now with our next. So Molly here is back. Now I sort of went ahead and sectioned her hair just to kind of make sure that everything was all ready to go. So again, I'm just gonna wet the hair down, and I'll show you my sections. And then that way you can see exactly. All right. So what I did was I took, the first section I took was out of the top, and I kind of did it sort of in a triangle. So as we have our girl, we again, remember we start from the arches of our brows, and then we can go up, and then I just sort of went back into a triangle. So I can just make sure that that's nice and tidy, and then I'll show you that. Oops. Just sort of make sure that it's looking a little bit. And I'm going to just put this hair aside, and I'm going to kind of feed it through. So again, I'll just put a little bit of water in her hair. To make sure that I'm not going to braid this section. I might at the ends. We'll just sort of see how it goes. But just to make sure it's nice and clean for you guys to see the sections. So the way I did it a bit differently, instead I kind of made it into two sections, but sort of did an angle. I did an angle because when I do this section, if you have the part in the middle, this always looks like a little bit funny because you can kind of see it doesn't look as smooth. So if you kind of make sure that this section is looked after, then it will go on, it will look overall better at the back when the look is complete. So I'm going to start on this section, and I am going to do the braid, the Dutch braid, because I want the braid out on this, to be on the top so that I can pull it out and kind of play with texture. Little water. Make sure it's and then I'll just you do, if it's a real client, when you do braids, it is a lot of communicating. Like you'll have to repeat yourself quite a bit, maybe lean forward, and then they'll be up like this again, and you'll say, oh, can you look down? And then they'll just be like, oh, I forgot. Don't be afraid. Just say, oh, can you look forward again? Or just look down. It's just something that you need to do and to make sure you create a really nice, clean braid. prefer an updo too, again, if it is a bit sort of a kind of a boho-y bride, or if it's just for somebody that just wants sort of a fun sun-kissed look. I did a braid crown for a Hallmark last year, and we had lots of little bits flying down because it's just a really nice look. I've done them plenty of times for brides as well. She's got quite a bald spot there. I wonder if I'll cover that after. Okay, so again, I'm going to start with my 3 sections here, and I'm going to go under, and then I'm going to go under again. I am going to go under, and I'm going to take a little bit of hair. Now just take your time when you're doing these kinds of braids, because you want to make sure that they look nice. I don't go too tight on these because I am going to loosen them. So I might leave a little bit of hair out here. I might just leave it there. Pull this a little bit up here. And then I'm going to go under with that. Outer piece under. Grab a little bit more hair into it. And then I'm going to go under. I'm just going to keep moving along, making sure everything is really nice and organized. That goes under. Oh, no, what have I done here? Sometimes if I talk, forget what I've done. I think that's what I do. Then I go under. Yes. Again, making sure that you keep everything nice and smooth too. Under. Adding a little bit more to my under. And under again. Just making sure you keep everything good. And then kind of make sure you kind of guide it. So I am going to want it to go around to the bottom and the back, but not all the way at the bottom, because I do want it to wrap around. Take a little more. Keep going around. You'll find too that when you have your clients, they probably will have more hair than Molly here. So the braids will be bigger. Braids always work better too when the hair is a day old. You don't really want to plan to do an updo with a braid when the hair is fresh, because it's just so slippery. So you do want to make sure that you have, you know, a little bit of the texture spray if you want, but really make sure you brush it out. You can always go along and kind of play with sort of what's happening in front, just so that you're happy with the way it's working. Under, pull that out a bit. I'll try to turn around, guys. It's a little bit of a slow demo. but we'll get it done. And I've sort of kind of taken my last section from that one side of my triangle, and then now I'm just going to carry on and do a braid all the way down. Not forgetting about, I've got a little more here to work with. Add a bit more in. Again, if it's a little bit loose down there, it's okay. So we're going to be pulling through and making. Just going to brush those ends a bit. And then we're going to have this. And we are going to want it to kind of go this way because that's where that's going to end up. So kind of follow that direction a bit, and we'll have that to put in. Okay, elastic time. Oops. Make sure you secure it. And then I'm just going to tuck this in over and with the top bit. Then I'll just sort of review it and make sure that kind of planning what's sort of happening. So I will just kind of fuss around with it a little bit up at the top, doing anything I need in advance. But to me, it's all seemingly going kind of in a good direction here. And again, a lot of this is going to go over and sort of through it. And then this braid, we're going to follow along and kind of connect it under here. So it all sort of starts to balance out. I'm just going to put a little hairspray in it. I'm going to use not my hold. I'm going to use just like a number 3 just to give it a bit of, we don't want it to get too fuzzy. So every time you kind of fuss with it a bit, do make sure you spray, just so that it doesn't get messy, fuzzy. Okay, so my first braid just kind of goes around. It's loose up here, just attached it to there to get it out of the way, and then I'm going to start with this braid. Should I show them again? Was it too high? Yeah. So again, starting here, and then we're going to go around. Now I'm going to braid this section here. This is just loose, and it was put under here, so I'll fix that. There we go. Okay. So I think I would like to go on the other side. So I'm going to maybe go over here and do this braid this way so that you can see. Is that okay? This one will go hopefully a little quicker. Oh, let's go secure that. Okay. Again, I will take about the size of a piece here. I'm going to take this out because I think I might leave a section at the top here down, just so it's not so even. Divide it, touching again, so I'm going to go under, under, under. I'm going to add a little bit to my under here. Under again, just making sure I've got good sections. Take another little bit here, add it in, make sure. Under again. Under. And then usually it takes about a couple braided sections, and then you'll start to see it pop out. It doesn't pop out right away, so be patient. Braiding can be so challenging in just being patient with the process, and practice makes perfect. There's so many people I know that actually can braid on themselves and they can't braid on anybody else. So you really have to start kind of twisting that around if you are one of those people. It's hard to braid on yourself. So if you can braid on yourself, you can braid on anybody. And honestly, if you can whip out a few braids, you're good. I've heard a lot of hairstyles. All right, so I'm gonna kind of go under again now because I've got this existing braid here. So I do wanna make sure that I'm sort of following that kind of pattern. Don't want them to go, want them to work together. Now also too, when I showed you those pictures of those brides last week for the wedding trends, those braided crowns probably have so many extensions, so just be aware of that too. Okay, so now I'm kind of wrapping around here. Oh dear, where is that thing? And I'm gonna wrap. And now, just making sure, I'll fix that after, that all of this is working. My ends are a little bit dry. And again, pulling the braid in the direction that you want it to go so that it goes in that. If you just kind of braided straight out right now, it would get really billowy if I moved it. And billowy means just really gapey here, won't be as tight. Okay, elastic is in this to secure it as well. Okay, so now it's kind of together. So these bits, the two braided bits, are now secure. So this one goes underneath this top one, and this is going on top of that. Oh, whoa, way too high. So you can see that this braid is our first one, and this is underneath, pitting. And then this is our second braid, and this is our first braid on top. And now this is our area here that we're gonna kind of go in and start curling this section and sort of putting them in, and then we're doing our detailing. So this is kind of the critical step of making sure everything works. We've got a good base of now how we're gonna build the style. Everything is ready to go. Okay, so I'm gonna undo those just temporarily. And I'm just going to take this top section here. And I'm going to take the tip of the triangle. And I want to curl those bits, but I also first, just going to give it a bit of a tease. I just actually wanted to make sure that this is tight. Sorry, I just kind of pulled you, hung you by your hair, Molly. All right. I'm going to take some of this finishing spray, but first I'm just going to do one quick thing here. I'm just going to grab my hair powder. This hair powder here, it's really good. It gives a little bit of grit, and I do like it for when I do an updo. You just kind of spritz it in. You don't need a lot, and it's kind of sticky, but it gives a bit of a root lift. Then I'll take it and then I'll just kind of tease it down. And then I'll use a little bit of my hold. And then again, tease it down, just to make sure that it has some standing ground here. Then I'm going to take these bits, the end bits, and I'm going to secure them into that tease. And then I'm going to get this other one and do the same thing and cross over here. Into my bobby pins. Again, you should try when you're putting your bobby pins too to get them in the tease a bit, but also to have the two bobbies cross over so that they lock, and then that way that will aid. I'm going to do another little one in there and get it right over that bobby, so that they've got some strength here to go on. And then my goal is to pull this across and then kind of tuck it into the braid and actually feed it through the braid a little bit, and then get it going really nice for the client. So just gonna quickly whip her around here, and then I'm just gonna take some sections here and give them a bit of a curl. You can pre-do this if you want. If somebody does have, wants this look, or wants a braided look and has hair that they just washed this morning, you would do like beach waves at first. So you do the curl set, then you kind of put some sea salt in them and get it a bit gritty. And then you would brush it all out to kind of smooth it, which seems like such a waste of time. But when you do this style after and you start putting them into the braids, having that kind of that hairsprayed, curled, beach sprayed or sea salt sprayed look will make it so that it will be way easier to put into the braid and pull out the braid, and then therefore style. So I'm just doing some quick kind of curls here. That way they'll feed through better. I'll take this next row. Give it a nice little brush. I feel like I'm going to put a little bit of shine in here. Maybe a little base. Just kind of make sure that that stays hidden, the two ends. Probably do 2 curls with this section. Watch what I've done underneath, and I'm going to actually curl the opposite way. This way, I curled this way, so I'm going to curl opposite. That way they'll kind of lie in and look not so woo-woo all the way, same. Again, now this is when you are looking at your client going, oh, do you want this much volume? How much do you want? Do you want bits? What else? So here, just because we've got our bit there, I'm gonna put a bit down on this side, as I did say that I was going to. Sometimes people want things in odds, so maybe I will do little bit there. Maybe I'll pull some out at the back. Maybe she wants a little one here as well. As long as it's not in her eyes. And then just kind of comb this out here. I think I'll give her a little more shine again. It's always nice. A little more hairspray just to make sure everything stays off her face. I think, well, this is a big little problem here. So I'm gonna see if I can kind of tease it and curl it so that that covers that. Some ladies do have a bit of a high widow's peak, so they like their hair curled sort of over it. Just make sure that goes there, and then a couple more. So I'd love if you guys had any other styles of hair that you sort of wanted, or if it's good for me to keep doing sort of updos, you can kind of get an idea for what, you know, sort of how hair works. I think a lot of it's to do with sectioning and making sure you understand your products so you know how things kind of work together and how you can you know, make the hair work the way you want. So I'm just gonna have a quick look from the front here and just make sure that it's kind of working the way I want. Just kind of put it, and that's when you're having that conversation of just like, how is this looking? Do you want it? Are you happy? Da, 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 da. So I'm gonna take that first section, and the last section, sorry, that I just curled, and I'm just gonna take that away and just pin it, and then we're gonna kind of work on the back. And this is the part that's gonna take a little bit of time, but we'll get it working. Okay. So you do need a tail comb for this part of the look, because what you essentially wanna do, you can actually just twist it if you want and just kind of work with the hair and just add it in and create. I'm gonna sit here for a bit. No. Glitch. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's just a crazy person.
Getting lots of nice feedback. Okay, I'm gonna tease it a bit here. All right, so then something's a little wrong, I think.
Maybe take it and put it kind of.
Okay, just a little adjustment, you guys. Put on my belt, maybe? Real profesh. Okay. It's this thing, I think.
Yeah.
Well, can I move it like that? Okay. Not a person to sit still. Makes it very challenging. All right. So I'm going to take this hair here, and what you can do is, I was saying earlier, you can take it all together and create something and pin it. Perfect. Easy. This is what you can do sort of here, is kind of pin it up, but then you can take it and actually take it through the braid and pull it out. This is not going to work.
Maybe put on the ground.
Okay. Can just put this on the ground. Okay. Sound people, they're always in pain. Just like lie it here. Okay. So then I'm just going to take it and then just sort of play with it. I'm gonna worry about these ends at the end. I can easily put it back inside this next braid if I want, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm just gonna leave it as is, and then figure out that at the end, because maybe I wanna leave it down. Maybe it's gonna sort of all come together, and maybe she's gonna be like, oh, I love it like that, and you're gonna be like, okay, and then it saves you all the time.
So are you gonna stand?
Well, he hates me. He hates me, you guys. Can I maybe put it on the table?
Sure. Just don't walk it, don't make sure it doesn't fall, but then the whole thing is done.
Okay. So I'm going to take it, and then I'm just going to sort of tease this again. I am going to have a layer over here, so I just want to make sure it's, don't know if that guy, yeah, that guy's in the front here. Make sure your back, that the two ends are covered still, and then you can sort of feed this through. Some people, because they don't really want to use the comb, you can actually just use a bobby pin or a hairpin even, and then even kind of go in like so. It works better with a bobby pin, but you can kind of go in like so here, and then just pull it through like that. That will work as well. Let's put this one in. Always making sure that your sides, you don't want anything to be sticking out too much. So I think I might put that one in again. Maybe I'll take it and put it in here and then pull that through. So now you're kind of weaving into your braid. And then still, you're still wanting, you could still pull that out again, making it look really nice. And again, all of this tweaking is always, we can do it a little bit after. We'll take this section, give it a bit of a tease. Again, looking at the sides as well. Maybe I want to put part of this through this braid. Making sure not to interfere with what's underneath. Take it again, just flip it under here. And you can even sometimes not even pull it all the way through if you wish. It's all sort of how you want to do it. Again, I like it sort of when it's a little bit messy up here, then it doesn't look like a helmet. Just making sure everything stays smooth. Again, I think I'll pop this, I'm gonna pop this one through the lower one. And then everything is kind of feeding into that braid. Okay. And then I'm going to just add a little hairspray at this point. And these bits too, you can actually just use hairpins and just plug them under. This, I feel like I'm going to feed through again. And that way, she can kind of go through there. Got to make sure that that's hidden. You have those silver pins that I'm going to pull out in a bit, just to kind of make it so that you can, there's a little gap maybe that you're not really pleased with. You can put it in here, do a spritz, come back, and it will be gone. And then you can just feed this through, pulling that. Making sure everything looks good here. And then I might just take a few of them and put them together. I don't want too many hanging down, so I might just flip it, and then I've got a perfect little hiding spot underneath the barrette, and I will take a bobby and then just pull it inside there. And I've got a really nice pad to move it into because you've got that braid. Make sure it's going in nice, and then it's gone. I don't mind the way that looks, the sides. This I'm gonna curl, that I'm gonna curl. So we've got this going pretty nice. Okay. Now, I think I'm just kind of getting to the end here, but I've got my front bit. So I just want to make sure that I'm just going to kind of look at her from the front and make sure she's looking great. So we've got this bit here, they're apart. So I'm going to just get this. And I'm just gonna kind of look and see how it's going here. Do a bit of hairspray, and then I'm gonna actually take these bits and kind of put them sort of how I want them from the top, because I do want the texture, and then I'm gonna take a few hairpins and just kind of put them in place, but not for any, like not for to stay, but just to sort of make sure that when I get back there, I don't move too much around. So maybe I'll just pop them in like so, just to make sure that it goes and flows the way that we want. Okay. While we're here at the front, just take some of these. And again, we don't want too ringlety, but we do want something. Just a bit of texture. I'll just pull this here. And maybe we, you know, a lot of people, like I find that most of my clients want something beside their face. They don't want it just to be slicked back. Just gonna make sure the front is nice. It's a good height. Maybe we could pull it down a bit here. So it's nice about working in a trailer or a salon. You always have a mirror in front of you. It makes it a little bit easier just to know. And then again, with these bits here, I think I'm just gonna take them and just sort of twist the ends and then pin them inside the braid, because I'm kind of happy with the way it looks. So you can see sort of here, just sort of gathered them all, and then I can just sort of twist them in, and I could actually sort of pin it inside and then take the ends and just flip them in. And I'm just going to take that pin and tuck it in. Take all of these little bits and also flip them under that same spot. And it's nice because there's so many little areas in this braided updo that you can hide things in. So that's always nice. And just making sure that everything is in there and it doesn't look like things are tucked. pin can go in. I can take this in as well. And I might actually bobby this one in here just to make sure that nothing gets out of the way. And that's going to secure. And then this is going to give us some really nice texture so that it looks professional and it doesn't, we've planned our hair out well. So now at this last little bit, you can actually sit and just make sure that everything is how you want, pulling things apart and just doing that detailing to make sure that all the little parts are kind of taken care of. The braids maybe are pulling out a little bit. There's this here that we want to take out. That was just there for a guide. We just want to make sure that we hairspray it so it stays. Maybe I want to pull this braid out a little bit as well, and this too, just to make sure everything works. Look for balance, make sure it's properly balanced. And then too, again, I brought those pins from last week so we can add a few of these if we want. They just add a bit of fun. If we were doing a bridal sort of updo, just add a little bit of this. Maybe they have flowers on the ends. You can do sort of whatever you want or your client wants to make sure that they're happy with the way it looks. These are always nice too if you're like, ooh, maybe I just was a little bit, I don't know. You can even use one of these and maybe flip it around and put it in if you didn't want that to stick out so much there. Maybe use it in there. I don't know if I like that, but you know, there's so much freedom with adding these little pins on at the very end. Just gives you something pretty. I'll take it out. And that, my friends, is your little braided updo for today. So you can see from the front, the side, the back, the side. It's a nice braided sort of look. Okay, so I'm going to put both of these girls back, and then we'll just briefly talk a little bit about not sun-kissed makeup, but dewy makeup. And then I guess that will be it for today. So I'm going to roll myself back over here. And hopefully I'll be seen. I can put it back. I can just leave it here because I'm only going to be a couple more minutes, I think. Just make myself a little area again. Turn off my curling iron so I don't burn anybody. Really make sure when you go to clients' houses or hotel rooms not so much, but definitely a lot of the times when I'm done weddings, I've gone to people's places. Make sure you have a good heat pad to put your curling irons and tools on, just because you don't want to, damage anyone's furniture with their varnishes and things. Kind of sometimes can react to heat. Also, alcohol pads and things as well. So watch where you put those down. It could cause you some problems if you were to damage anything. Okay. So the last little bit here we're going to touch base on is just dewy skin. And dewy skin is something that we all want. We don't want matte skin anymore. We don't want to over powder. It looks unnatural, doesn't look healthy. We want to glow. So I think for the most part, you guys, dewy skin comes from a thoughtful skin preparation. And that's what we just went over. So if you hydrate the skin and remove, like exfoliate, and make sure all of the surface, you know, toughness, which comes from the dry, dead skin cells that are sitting there. If you get all of that off and hydrate, you're gonna have a great skin prep for a dewy application. When you're doing a dewy application, all you do after that is you use everything that is like wet per se. So you're not going to use any dry products. You're not going to use dry powder. You're not going to use dry contour powder. You're not going to use, you know, you can still obviously use dry eyeshadow if that's the look that you want. But for the skin itself, you are now going to think of using everything dewy. So your contouring has to be cream, so you can blend it into that skin. So your foundation, whatever you want it to be, you can do tinted. They have beautiful, youthful skin. Tinted moisturizer is all you want. If they are a little bit older, maybe you want something that has a bit more coverage, but it still is something that you're gonna just move into the skin and powder infrequently and in select areas. So for youthful skin, tinted moisturizer, followed up with everything that is creams, so cream blushers, cream highlighters, cream contours. Make sure that when you're using creams that you're not blending everything over the top. You still have to keep everything in its spot. So you want to make sure your contour stays in the hollow. You want to make sure your blusher stays on the apple. You want to make sure your highlighter stays on the bone. And they can all meet, but they don't all go on top of each other, because then you lose everything and you have a very muddy application. So make sure you keep everything in its spot. Again, with youthful skin, it's hard to kind of go wrong with youthful skin if their skin is nice and they have a good complexion. When you go into people that have a worse complexion, or maybe that they're older, or they have a little bit more skin texture, things when you want, dewy is a bit more harder to achieve, because dewy creates like reflection of light, and then light reflects texture. So you really want to make sure that when you're using, doing dewy skin on somebody that has mature skin, you have to use some powders in some areas. Otherwise, skin texture will take over the look and make it not look so great. So you do want to use more of a coverage for mature skin or older skin, or skin that has a bit more acne or textured, but you do want to powder it in certain areas. So you just want to make sure that, again, you're powdering the T-zone, powdering like all in the nose areas, around the mouth. You want to make sure you powder underneath the eyes so that nothing of the concealer and that sort of thing falls down. You do want to keep the cheeks less. So you don't want too much powder in the cheek area. If you have powder in the cheek area, it will start to just not be a dewy makeup. So you do want to use a creamer for that. You do want to use a contour, but go really light on the contour with mature skin, because it can look muddy very fast just because of texture. So I would go light on the contour, but go a lot on like the highlighter here. Just make sure the highlighter is doesn't have too much shimmer in it, because then that will really bring out any flaws in their skin. As for brows and eyes, do them as usual. And it just depends on the look. If you're doing sort of a youthful makeup and you want to keep everything really dewy and shiny, then you're going to go cream blushes. But you just don't do them too much. Just do a little soft smear. Then you don't need to do layer on layer. If you're doing more of an evening glamour look, then you'll probably stick with powders, less upkeep. You don't want to be doing a glamour eye with cream shadows, or your life is over really, because it's so much upkeep. And yeah, mascara as usual, again, looking just depending on what look you want to achieve. Lips are the same. Just make sure as an artist that everything goes together. Dewy skin, you don't want an overall glam look with dewy skin. It might not translate very well. So I guess from moving forward from this, your assignment for this week. So your assignment for this week is a braided updo. And I would love you to try what I did. I don't expect perfection, but I do like to see that you've tried something that's out of your comfort zone. If you're having trouble with braids, even if you guys just want to send a French braid, if you're like, you know what, I am so not good with braids, just do what we talked about with the first style. Do a Dutch braid, maybe just make sure that you're consistent on both sides. So you can do a Dutch braid and then a Dutch braid on this side and then make a messy sort of bun with the leftover braids, or you can end the braids there and curl the back. Just do something with a braid that's challenging to you. Challenge yourself at this time, and you know, you do have a week to do this, and there's not really much going on. So you have times, which is really great. So use the time to learn. As per makeup, so you can do this style on your doll, and then for makeup for you guys, I'd love to see you do an exfoliant. And which brings me to the exfoliator that you should have in your kit for lips, and that is a coconut, even coconut to sugar mix. And that mix will create a definite exfoliator that you can put onto the lips, and it will exfoliate any dry skin. It's conditioning, so they can kind of rub it all on their lips and then just take it off with a cotton pad, follow up with a little bit of lip balm, and you're good to go. So always keep that a little bit of that. Equal parts coconut oil to sugar, put it in a little jar, store it in your kit. You will use it, trust me. So for your skin assignment, just do a nice dewy skin. I want to see some good skin prep, and I want to see your skin. I don't want it to be overdone. I want to see some shine, some just, you know, I do want to see some illuminance. So just do a nice, fresh, dewy skin. If you want to go a little bit darker with the eye, totally up to you. Have fun with it, and I hope you learned something today with this video. So I think we'll open up if anyone's around for questions. So we'll just kind of look and see if any questions pop up. And then if not, if you're kind of burnt out from today, I've spoke a lot again, we can talk about them tomorrow. Okay. So let's see if we have anything. See a few people. Hello. We're doing good, Hannah. Oh, Patian, hi, I miss you. Oh, so nice to see you. All right. Oh, Katerina, hi, Katerina. You are good, you just have to practice. Hair takes practice, you guys. It's not something that we do, especially when you go into makeup and you're learning your makeup artistry. We've done makeup on ourselves, and we can practice on ourselves almost every day we do. But hair is a little bit harder to practice on because you're kind of in front of it. You can't get behind it. So that's why you have these dolls, and this is why you just have to sit and practice, because practice does make perfect. And just say, I'm gonna do one style every 2 days. Maybe you'll research one and then you'll perform it the next day. And then you'll research one and perform it. Come up with a little schedule to challenge yourself, and you will get better. But you won't get better if you don't try. So just persevere, get through it. Hair and makeup go hand in hand, and you'll have a great career if you have both of them, most especially if you have both of them working together. Okay, guys, well, tomorrow, thanks everybody for kind of chiming in and hanging out. I hope again that you learned something. And tomorrow we will have Zoom starting at 10. I will be ready for questions, and we can continue to talk about skincare. There's a few other things I can probably add to that. So I do hope that you chime in again, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye, everyone. Thank you.